loveliness. We'll talk briefly about what it costs to create your own site that isn't ready-made, and talk a little bit about shipping, because that's something that I think everybody, doesn't really think about
If you're going to sell online.
when you're going to sell online, and it's something super important to decide ahead of time how you're going to handle that. And then when we're all done, we will take a look at some of the examples that people have posted on the Facebook group, and take any questions and share.
Do we have any examples? I put a couple up today, but I was the only one a little while ago.
Uh-oh.
I think there was one more.
Okay, good.
I'll bring it up. So I've been staying off Facebook lately. I feel bad, but
don't feel bad. You're not missing much.
right?
Kirsten actually shared one.
Yeah, good.
So,
I see. Oh, Kim shared one, and then we have Kirsten. So, ooh, those are pretty. Right. Sounds good. So who wants to go first?
I can go first. Kim, you want to go?
No, go right ahead.
All right. So I'm going to share my screen. And this one that I'm sharing tonight is by an artist that does some really interesting weaving work in using different textiles. And one of my other things that I'm into besides beadwork and glass is textiles. I like this site because, right off it's not just plain white. It's got some color to it, but it's really kind of low key. You don't get like this in your face black background with these bright images. You just get nice and low key. It's pretty well designed. You get right into her shop, so if you're looking for something in particular, you can immediately click on it and buy it. So it's good for those impulse kind of buys. She showcases more of her work and then talks about herself, and at the same time offers classes and some insights on how to do the things that she does. It gets a little on the personal side, but apart from that, I think it's really nice and low key and pretty, but also showcases her work very, very well.
Her photos are beautiful.
Yeah.
The photos are absolutely gorgeous. And she also shows like different color palettes that she has available. So you're not just seeing one thing. You can pick a style and then have different colors going on in it. So let's say I really liked this style, but I wanted a different color palette. So she shows different kinds. So let's say in the glass world, for instance, let's say we have a certain kind of platter that somebody's making, and you can replicate that, but you want to offer different colors. So you can show people what those different colors look like and offer that to them, which I think is really amazing. And you can easily shop for that in here. Easy navigation if I wanted to go on to the next thing without having to go back. She's got, this really nice previous and next thing going for her. She's got all of her, she's got her return policy and, how long it takes for her to produce right there in the product, which is super, super important to let people know that right out the gate. I really love this site just because of, her nice color palette and how easy it is to use. Like I don't question where things are.
Now, Bobbie, is it possible on this one, has she made it mobile friendly? Is it possible to shrink it down and take a look?
Let's take a look. Because I'm a developer, I know how to do this.
Woo!
So not terribly mobile friendly. And let me refresh that in case there's any JavaScript. Ah, there is. Okay, here we go. Here's the real deal. Oh yeah, see, this is nice. This is beautifully done for mobile. You get a bigger version of this so you can really see it. And it doesn't move like it does. The only thing that I wish she did was having a fixed nav as you're scrolling. But that's okay.
Navigation bar?
Yeah, so that this would travel with you as you're scrolling down. No big deal. Not a lot of sites do that. Still good size on the photography. You could still see it. It doesn't take up a lot of room. She's resized her images really nicely so that it fits for mobile as well, and you don't feel like you're just getting smaller pictures.
Right.
Is this a WordPress site, Bobbie?
Let's see what we've got here. I don't think so.
No?
Let me find my Wappalizer. Hold on. They just changed the logo again. It drives me crazy.
Let's see.
Oh, no. That's the wrong
And
thing.
Bobbie, can you tell people just real quick, what is WordPress? I mean, because people have heard the name, but how would you describe that in layman's terms? What is WordPress?
So it's been described several ways over time, but it's not just one thing anymore. So, oh yeah, there's my Wappalizer. Oh, she's running on Wix.
Ooh.
So
Are
this
we
is
going to
a
cover
really,
that tonight? We're going to cover that tonight.
we're going to cover that tonight. So this is a really nicely done Wix site.
Do you know the name of the theme that one is?
Mm-mm.
It doesn't tell you.
No, I don't have a Wix sniffer.
The fact that there's a Wix sniffer is funny.
I'm sure there is. Like, I'm sure if I looked at like the CSS, it would probably tell me. See, I'm dropping developer words. Sorry, guys.
I'm watching you, man. Got you right here.
So yeah, this is the one. It's gorgeous. We can talk about like WordPress in a minute as soon as we're done sharing sites. But yeah, I fell in love with what she was doing from Pinterest because I'm a fiberphile. But you know, when I saw like her really nice photography and then her website, I was just like, oh man, yeah, she's got it together. This is great. And you don't see that from a lot of artists just starting out. So this was really nice.
That is nice.
Well, earlier you mentioned something about how the picture I'm gonna just mess up your words, but I hope
Don't worry about it.
But it was something about she scaled the pictures right for the mobile app. I mean, doesn't
Yeah.
the theme, and that's kind of my go-to thing, doesn't it automatically do that for you? Or how do you know how does the layperson know how to do that?
Right. So I was speaking more along the lines of how the images will look when viewed on the phone, not necessarily like what your site's going to do with them, but
Okay.
keeping in mind how they're going to look on your phone, on your website, as opposed to on a desktop on your website, and trying to find that happy medium. Like my screen that I work on is 24 inches wide.
Sure.
So, you know, images can get really big. It's also HD, so it can get really blurry sometimes if you're not taking the right resolution. But just thinking about how it's going to look on your phone and how it's going to look on desktop at the same time is super, super important. And Lesh did a really great job because she thought about how her image is going to get cut inside of her website, what it's going to look like on phone. You know, and went from there. So really great image composition there, and
So
still
is that
very
just a
colorful. But
trial by error kind of thing?
it can be.
Yeah.
But I think you know if you're already thinking about you know what it's going to look on your website, you're already halfway there.
Okay. All right.
But Bobbie,
So
can you control the crop? Can you control the crop and the composition of the large image as it goes down? Or is that, like Kirsten said, is that just trial and error, trying to find the sweet spot between what works on the large image and then what goes all the way down?
it's easiest to find the sweet spot. It can be done, but then you're going to have to hire someone like me to help you
Gotcha.
make sure that it gets cropped right.
Gotcha.
Okay.
And one thing I know that I've done on my site, and I'm using Squarespace, is that I might take all the photos and crop them to the same aspect ratio. So they might be like a 1-to-1 ratio. And then when I bring them in, if I'm transitioning between photos, those photos being the same size and cropped similarly, it'll retain that. So I think about that, and then I'll also crop them at larger sizes. And then sometimes the engine that the web provider will actually resize it for you in some cases. It just depends on the platform.
And in this case,
what's that? There's somebody who was Sunflower who had a question. Like, Oh, I think they're muted. Hold on, let me see if I can unmute. Sunflower, if you're out there, unmute yourself.
So
We're trying to
in,
find
in
you.
in Lesh, in the case of Lesh, in that very first photo that was big, she thought about using what she was going to be using that for. So she didn't crop it down to like a square. She wanted it still big, nice and wide, so that because she knew that's the one I'm going to use in that area. So think about where you're going to be using your images and what area of your design. And we'll probably get to that at some point, either further in our talk or in another session about that.
That sounds good. So let's see, what's next on the list?
Well, Kim or Kat?
Uh-oh. Kim, do you want to talk about it? You want me to go next on and it's just, we're just picking the sites, right?
Yeah, we're just talking about
Okay.
current trends.
I'll take a site.
Okay.
So let me share my screen real quick. Make sure I've got it up in the right place. Here we go. And I was actually going to show you a couple of them from Kim Brill. Yay! So I would say that this is one of those life-changing moments when I finally realized that websites didn't have to be black, like Bobbie mentioned. But years ago, I guess this was back when Helios was on Anderson Mill. The first time I had ever really met Kim and seen some of her work, she had this website. And so I'm actually using something called the Wayback Machine to go back and look at her old site. So we actually have, this is Kim's new site, which has a lot of, it does have the black borders over here, but the focus on her art right here, kind of these nice angles, I think are really nice. And then she just has a lot of images that are on white, so that contrast, I think, makes the color pop. I think it's really beautiful. And then you can go in and look at some of her different collections. And I love that she has these broken up by collection. So I'm seeing it's actually not sizing it right on that one. But you can go look at the different combings. Let me see if I can extend this a little bit. It might be the resolution on my screen, so it's a little bit different. But I'll go back to this original one. This was the first time I'd ever seen items that had been photographed on white. So they looked like they were just floating on a screen or floating on the background. And I liked that seamless look. I liked how here's the art piece, but it just really, with the background white, kind of fades into the background itself. And it wasn't, there's a broken link in there because this is the old version of her site. But I always thought that that was a really, really, really nice effect. I guess another one I can throw up there just to show you one that I had done. And
Did you really do that one in 1959?
What? Oh my God, it does say that. Kim Brill made that in 1959.
I was 4.
I love it. You're giving yourself away.
Kim, I remember looking at that during my lunch hour back when I worked.
Right?
Sitting at my desk, eating my lunch,
oh my God.
Just studying it.
And I guess on this one, I'll bring this one up because this is an example of a site that, although looks pretty nice, it's actually a fairly dated design. So if you saw the one that Bobbie was looking at, where it has the large graphics that go all the way across, this one is fairly compact. But then again, we designed this for a time when computer monitors were a lot smaller. You didn't have as much real estate. People were still using hardware that they couldn't view big web pages. This was also not mobile friendly. So if you were to look at this on a mobile phone, I don't think it'll do it here, but it would just basically crop it. This was not designed to be used on a mobile phone at all. The other lesson that comes from this one, aside from kind of the dated design on it, was the fact that I did this one for a friend. And I did it free for a friend. And the one thing I can tell you is, if you're considering doing a website, if you hire somebody to do it, it's a lot easier to go back and say, I need these changes, and you're paying for changes. If you're doing your own website, you can go update it yourself. When you get into a situation where you're working on one with a friend, I have never seen any of those actually go well. At some point, things break down, And I think that there can be hard feelings when, you know, you don't want to drop everything at a moment's notice and make changes. So it also brings up the thing we've talked about too, which is you don't want to have your neighbor's friend or your neighbor's high school kid or anything like that do your website. You know, kind of keep it with doing it yourself or somebody professional if you want accountability. So I would say this one, this became a point of contention at one point because I didn't update in a timely fashion. So I guess that's what I've got. Anybody questions? Kim, you want?
I would like to point out that even though the site looks dated and it's not
Yeah.
mobile friendly and it sort of has that 10-year ago look and feel, the photography still holds up.
Oh yeah.
The work holds up, the photography is beautiful.
That's a good point. In fact, I can tell you, I don't have his name, but a lot of these were actually cover photos for Lapidary Journal. So because she was a featured artist, they did professional photos of all her stuff, which brought up a discussion the other day with Kim and Bobbie, was that in the jewelry world, if you're putting something in a festival and they're asking for photos for a juried art festival, jewelry photos are always on black. Everything that we've seen with glass, though, seems to be photographed on white. So if you're trying to take your photos for a specific reason, if you're doing shows, you might look into that before you pay a lot of money to have your photos done. Or just kind of keep that in mind. Is it a black background? Is it a gray background? Is it white? So,
Yeah, and spring for both, because you never know what a jury show is going to want.
yeah. Yeah, and when we did stuff, when we actually applied to juried shows, they wanted these black backgrounds. It was actually specified in the application process. So just a side note on photography. But and this guy, I can look up who he is, but he actually does have a video course on how to take photos of your stuff with your smartphone. So I'll look that up and I'll post that on the Facebook page as well. All right, Kim, you're up.
Cool. Okay. I want to, hold on, I'm trying to share the screen. Here we go. Share screen. Okay.
Ooh.
This is the website of an acquaintance of mine who actually turns up for Fusing Fridays every once in a while. She's been here. And she lives in Portland. Her name is Carol Carson, and she does paintings and glass. And a couple of things strike me about this. The photography is gorgeous. The design is beautiful. I don't know if it is from a web building site like Wix or Squarespace or something like that. I would think it might be, but I just love how the art takes over and grabs your attention, gets in your face, and just really it's a very immersive art experience. And
Squarespace.
I'm sorry? It's Squarespace?
Squarespace.
Yeah. I remember catching notes that she would put on Facebook while she was doing this about how it was just kind of making her freaking crazy. But it looks like she pulled it off just beautifully. But she's got a section on painting. She has a section on glass. And then I really like her choices for the words at her top nav, who, where, and how. I think that's just really smart.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's just elegant. It's minimalistic. And frankly, this is really hard to do without a template, without somebody having figured it all out for you before. But I just love how there's nothing extra here. Every word, every image is the story.
That is cool.
And I really like this little gallery slider.
That is nice.
Oh, wow.
Are there controllers on it? I can't see. Oh, yeah, the little arrows.
And, you know, her paintings look like her glass. They're very, you know,
Painterly.
of the hand work. And I just think this is very, very elegant.
What happens if you click on one? Oh, there's
Hello? Let's try a double click.
maybe the words.
It was probably, I could tell you from the Squarespace experience, it probably was set up as a gallery. You can actually have it click to blow up an image. That's a feature. Or it could, you know,
You could just do nothing.
could do nothing. Or it could link to something. There's a way to actually click and it can link to another page.
Nice.
Yeah, you're right, Bobbie. I want to see that.
Yeah.
I spent some time looking at this one after you posted it,
Uh-huh.
and I agree with you that the photos are great. It was confusing to me if I was looking at paintings or glass,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't have any reference to how big it is.
Mm-hmm.
So if I
Hey,
was
there's a little
looking-
plus sign. Oh, I'm sorry, Kirsten. I'm so
No, where do
sorry.
you see the plus sign?
It's on the upper right of the blue one, the third over.
Oh, there we are.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The
What
one,
happened?
there it is.
There it is. Okay.
Ah,
Okay.
But you're right. It doesn't have a dimension, and I would like to see that too.
Yeah.
that's
info.
an interesting thought, Kirsten.
I just think this is a
Sorry.
very elegant
Yeah, her
system.
work is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, Kirsten. Please go ahead. I did not mean to interrupt your trail of thought. And everybody, I apologize. I am hopped up on Monster.
No,
So much pressure.
I think I said what I was going to say, and I want to know what Monster is.
Monster energy drinks.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Ah,
Yeah.
Okay.
very cool.
Yeah, I just didn't know what I was looking at, other than it's something lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks
Oh,
like
wow.
it could even be in caustics almost.
It's
Now I want to
gorgeous.
draw and paint.
Right? We could do that next
Right.
Friday. We'll just have
Really inspiring. Oh my gosh, look at this stuff.
we'll just call it Painting Friday. We'll start at 6.
So Carol Carson, I've been stalking you.
There you go.
It's beautiful.
So here's another one that really is, I have met this gentleman a few times. I've taken one of his classes. This is so him because it's precise and it's industrial and it's engineered and it's extremely,
Calculated.
yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't he an architect also? Am I?
I don't think so.
So
I don't think so. But Jeremy is an American living and working in Australia.
Oh,
And one of the things I love most about his work is how much attention he pays to the photos.
yeah.
They are absolutely amazing.
Oh, wow.
This is another
Yeah,
one I kind
his-
of like to know how big these things are because I don't have a sense of that.
Oh, because a
Yeah.
lot of times they'll put how many inches.
Right.
Yeah, his Instagram is awesome to follow when he posts these. It's just like, oh man, that is just amazing.
Yeah. It's such industrial work, you know. I just adore it.
Wow.
I just
Now, the
adore
other thing, are these metal? That's an interesting thing as well. It doesn't say mixed media. So I'm wondering, is this all glass? Is this metal in glass?
I think it's metal and glass, Cat. I'm pretty sure he welds all of the
Yeah, it's metal.
parts.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And that might be an idea for when you're doing a website, is if it's mixed media, to put what those other elements are and the dimensions.
Yeah.
And by the way, this is
Sorry, Steph?
So
Go
he's
ahead,
talked
Steph.
about a lot of those at Helios when he was there.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
and by the way, this is a Weebly site.
Weebly,
Okay.
which didn't we figured out the other day, was it Weebly that paired up with Square? Was that right?
Yes.
Which we'll talk more about. So, Australia. Oh, isn't it winter there right now?
I think
It
his
is.
design, since they're like all those squares really fit with the type of work he does.
Right.
Mhm.
Just very angular and, like you said, precise.
Right.
And I love how his navigation is home, blog, contact. That's it. It's like no nonsense. Here's my work. That's all you need to know.
Right.
Mhm.
And did you get to looking at these bigger by clicking on one of those images below? Was that how you got to see them?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Right.
Hmm.
Wow, really pretty. The photography makes this site.
It really does. It really does.
Very cool.
So it's just super spare, yeah, and I like that.
That's very minimal, but you know, he being able to see all of his works even in bite sizes is really great right off the bat because you can see what he's all about. You know what he's doing. There's no question here.
Right.
And you know, if I'm super curious about seeing any detail, getting to the image is super fast. It's right there. I don't have to worry about, you know, going into a certain part of his portfolio and looking around. It's literally right there.
Yeah. It's also not a lot of stuff, right?
That
It's
that too, yeah.
2, 3, 4, 5, 30, 25 or 30 images. That's not a lot for an
Yeah.
artist.
Yeah, he's curated it really nicely.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Cool.
So that's my show and tell.
Love it. You know, I had another thought on Kim's site, because of course I showed Kim's site. The other thing I thought was interesting about Kim's site is how timeless it was. You know, even the fact that, how old was that site, Kim? The one I pulled up, is that like
I
8 years?
want to say 2008.
So 12 years ago, you
Yeah.
made that one site. And I see kind of that same timeless layout and design even with this. It's minimal, you know, minimalistic, but it's just focusing on the art.
Right.
Anyway.
I'm really happy to see that black background go away. You know, stylistically, that was a thing. And it was hard to read, and it was heavy. And I really like this light area. It feels more like a gallery
Yeah,
than, I don't know, a closet.
right.
No offense, Kat.
What? We're going to play the What's in Kat's Closet game here in a bit. Yes. Quick, what's this?
I know what that is.
You guys know what that is. Apple Newton from the 90s. Anyway. All
Okay,
right.
so we've been talking about these sites and showing you designs, and one of the things that we've been talking about is the photos. So we'd love to share with all of you, you know, what it takes for, you know, considering good photos for your website.
Okay.
So Kim,
Yes.
since you are, you know,
Graphic
more
design.
design oriented than I am or Kat, could
Okay.
you share with us some tips?
So I am going to go back to my site because I got myself into a bit of a box when I did my old site with everything on a white background,
Yeah.
which was nice and elegant. But I kind of needed to keep that same thing going when I updated this. And so I didn't reinvent the wheel. I wasn't bored with the white, but it would have been really hard for me to take all of my old pictures and repurpose them for a look that is real different than this. So I just kept going with the white with a little drop shadow.
Now, Kim, did you add those drop shadows in Photoshop, or did you have shadows with your photos?
Mostly I added them.
Okay.
That was actually a real shadow that I edited.
Those are beautiful.
But I feel like I kind of got lucky in that I was able to take pictures from, 2009 and bring them into the more contemporary look, and it still slipped in and it still looks fine. But if the conventions today were something different, I would probably have had a lot of work to do to go and edit these and make them fit whatever that aesthetic might be. But I like the white. I don't think you can go wrong with it.
Yeah.
So
It's also probably important to take high enough resolution pictures that you
yes,
can crop them or size down, because I know that was one that was real important. I was given small photos once. They were like 400 by 400 pixels.
Right.
And we needed them to be about twice that size.
Right.
So just that general rule of thumb of being able to take a photo, say like from your iPhone is going to be very high resolution, you can size down, but you don't size up.
Right.
Yeah. So from a technical point of view, you always want to have higher resolution. Like if you're going to hire someone to take your photographs, ask for print versions. They're going to be higher DPI. A lot of people don't know what that is, and we can talk about that at some point. they're going to be higher DPI and not ready for the web. So there will be some processing to do to get them ready for a website. But the great thing is that they are large enough that you can downsize them without losing picture quality. So you still have a beautiful photo without, you know, introducing a lot of these things like fuzziness and just making them look grainy. And you know, you've all seen like really bad photos on a website somewhere. You know, it's like they took, it's a really small picture and they blew it up, and so like everything just got this like ugly halo.
Right.
Or
Or
like
stretching.
stretching.
Oh.
Oh.
Ugh.
Always proportionally resize your photos.
Yeah.
So when you get photos done, keep the photos that you get, copy them and edit them, because that way you can always go back to your originals, make any changes that you need to, and produce new ones without losing anything. It's super, super important to have really high resolutions in your back pocket. Plus, you know, if you're going into something juried and they're not taking necessarily electronic versions of your photos, they want like glossy 8x10s to be submitted by mail or whatever. Not that I think any of the juried shows are doing that anymore,
Yeah.
but there might be one or two that actually want photographs, like real photos that you have to send them. Having those higher resolutions are going to save you there as well.
So when you say high resolution, can you give me a ballpark number?
Yeah, 300 DPI is usually the standard for print.
Dots per inch.
And
So if you have a
yeah.
6-inch photo, it's 1800 pixels.
And for web, when you're talking image resolutions for the web, you're going to go down to 72 dots per inch, or as we refer to it, pixels per inch.
Right.
So are those the same thing? Pixels and DPI?
They're related.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we could get into the we could really get into the weeds about like the technical differences, but you know, for electronic design, they're mostly the same thing.
Okay.
Or a way to think about it is if you were trying to print an 8x10 photo, that long edge, that 10 inches, you would multiply that times 300 dots per inch at least to be able to print it at a decent resolution. So if you think about that, then to print a full 8x10, you might want about 3000 by what, 2400 pixels. So if you're up in those 1000 pixel ranges, you should be able to say print one that's 8x10.
And your file size is going to reflect that. So if you have an original file that's like a megabyte, megabyte and a half or higher, you're probably good. You know, if it's 400K, that's a small one.
Yeah. So just something to keep in mind. Very cool.
So
Won't all of that affect how fast a website also loads?
Yes.
I'm going to defer to Bobbie on that because that's out of my area.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, there's tricks of the trade, but if you are loading up, let's say, a 300 DPI image onto your website, it's going to take a really long time for somebody to download that. The smaller the size of your images while maintaining quality is the way you want to go. So of course, the standard for web is always going to be 72 DPI. You can kick it up to 96 if you're careful.
And that would be
And probably in a subsequent Fusing Friday, when we really get into the nitty gritty of building a site yourself or getting ready to send it to something, we can talk about, you know, different resolutions for like Mac screens where we've got the higher res. I can't remember the terminology for it. Kat, help me out here.
I can. It's the 4K. It's actually a Retina display. So if you guys,
Thank you.
Any of you guys are Mac users, if you've bought a television lately, and they'll say, oh, you can get this. It used to be that you had 1080p, and then it jumped up to 4K. A 4K screen is basically what's on a Mac. A Retina display is a 4K screen, which is 4 times as large as a normal screen, more pixels. So you get really crisp graphics, but
you can also get, like, if your graphics aren't ready for that, they can also look really crappy on
Yeah.
a retina screen.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
we can talk about that on a different Fusing Friday when we really get
Okay,
into the
and
weeds.
I better eat my Wheaties before that one.
It'll be good. It'll be good. So, oh, and I might also point out too, just related to that question, like when I'm using my Squarespace site, I can take like basically any size photo, and when I upload it, it will process it and then optimize it for what it needs. So as long as I'm giving it one that's, you know, a high enough resolution, maybe it's 2000 pixels wide or something, and then it'll say processing for a second, and then it creates what it needs for the site. So I don't have to worry about a lot of that detail. It just does it.
Nice.
Yes.
Something else I would
And
like to say about my particular site was it was easy for me to get good photography because my husband is a video producer and he's got lights and he's got seamless backdrops and he's got all kinds of good stuff. And I can fake my way through Photoshop enough to be able to make these look good. So you can probably plan on working on them a little bit.
Yeah.
And
I like too that it says sold. So it you know, I guess, and Kim, would you have any thoughts on actually giving your pieces a name? Because I noticed that it's Jane, his wife, an
I
obvious
did a Jetson
Jetson.
series.
What's that?
I did a Jetson series. And it's like George Jetson. This is Meet the Jetsons. This was the father of them all. Somewhere I've got daughter Judy.
Astro,
Basically
Astro.
space rockets.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, it was just because it looked retro and futuristic at the same time to me. So it was just fun. I'm usually really bad with names, but that was fun.
Those were great. Very nice.
yeah, I love that you've included dimensions and you've marked it as sold
I
so
think
that somebody
dimensions are
doesn't.
important.
Oh yeah, totally. That, and when I look at your work, I was like, I don't have to get my hopes up that I could reach out and contact you and get a piece that I really, really love. Like it's already gone.
And you know what? Speaking of that, Bobbie, a lot of this work is stuff I don't do anymore. But every once in a while, I'll have somebody reach out and say, I want you to make me a bowl. Can you make me a blue bowl? And I say, sorry, I don't do that anymore. And that's a disappointment. And so I really struggled when I put this together. How far back am I willing to show my work? And is it okay to say no? That that's just, you know, like I don't even have the water jet guy here anymore. And so, you know, that's sort of a negative about having archival work online.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. So I think everything on my site is archival. But
Kim,
All right, so
Kim,
Sorry?
I almost wonder if you can put an archive area like past
Yeah,
collections.
that would be everything, Elena.
Oh, never mind.
Or some sort of a footnote or something.
right. I think you missed an opportunity here though, to put the picture of this one full of rubber bands.
I gave my dad one of these bowls and he's got it full of rubber bands from the newspaper. Oh.
Oh boy.
all
Okay.
right. So any other questions about photo considerations before we move on to talking about services?
One more thing. In our list of links that we are going to put online is a retoucher that Kat found. Do you want to call that up, Kat?
Yeah,
Who
let me
will
see if I
take
can
your
get to the
artwork
document.
and retouch it for you and do a really nice job.
Right? Hold on one sec. I'm going to stop your sharing real quick,
Yes, please.
just so I can get to it. It's interesting how it takes over your screen. Let me find this one real quick. I'm not sharing, am I? I can't type because I can't see. I need to go to the eye doctor and get new contacts, but we're on lockdown, right?
It's in the link that I put at the bottom of our worksheet, Kat.
I got it.
There's a link there.
I had to get to the worksheet. I actually
Got it.
didn't have it up yet. Let's see. So Kat's product retoucher. There it is. And I think what I liked about this site, if it's going to show it, was the before and after.
Yeah.
This is the one. Because I think what was interesting was that this person, he basically redid graphics for people who were going to juried art shows. And if anybody's not familiar with what that term is, it's, you know, you can go to like your local church craft show and sell, but if you want to get into the big shows like Pecan Street Festival, things like that, they're always juried. So, you know, you send in your pictures and they sit in a big room and they look at it and decide who can come. Let me get this real quick. There it is. Now, I thought the website was really not a great example of a website, but he did have this one section on improving jury images. And is it there? Yeah. And I thought, like I said, this website needs a little bit of help, just a tad, but these were some of the things that he had done. And I'm looking for that one where it had the before and after.
Yeah.
I'm not finding it. I know when we first looked at it, it was there. No, it's not showing it.
Fixing jury images.
Let's see. Oh, okay, here we go. So
Yeah.
it has the before and after. Let me see if I can increase the size a bit. There it is. So
Amazing job.
yeah. Yeah, in fact, you know, here was one, I guess they had put it in there. Interestingly, I think he's actually photoshopped this. This looks like it's the same photo, but it looks like he's actually isolated it and then added a faux background in Photoshop. So, you know, or even brightening, you know, going in and adjusting the colors. You can see just the difference. It makes it a lot more elegant. And even this one with the harsh shadows in here.
Right.
You can see all those harsh shadows, and then over here, it's sort of suspended, you know, or the table. But you can see the difference. It just makes it look a lot more elegant. Even this one with a basic background, you know, how much more elegant I think it looks on a plain background.
And it really comes forward.
Yeah, it makes it pop. So he's doing a really, really good job of that. And we can include that link if anybody needs the link. But he seems to do a really good job of retouching. I can also say that at one point, I had taken some glass jewelry to a guy here in Austin to have photographed, and he had never photographed glass before. It was a complete waste of time. We spent several $100s and we got nothing back that we could use. So
I have a secret.
What's
I have
that?
a secret for shooting glass.
Yeah?
It's a Krylon product called dulling spray.
Okay.
And even with a softbox, sometimes you get that super bright specular highlight,
Yeah.
that bright white, and it just won't go away. Dulling spray will change the surface of it. It's almost like you sandblast it a little bit. It makes it a little dull. You take your picture, that hot highlight will go away, and then you wipe it off with a sponge.
Really?
Yeah, Krylon. It's called dulling spray. You probably have to order it online. I've looked for it like at Hobby Lobby and places like that, and they don't carry it.
I bet it's on
Nice.
Amazon.
For anybody looking for someone in Texas, in Austin, who does amazing work and knows how to photograph glass very well, Annie Winsett with Crafting Exposure. She offers her services at a pretty reasonable rate to photograph glass, and she does an amazing job at it. She actually put on a talk about photographing glass to get it into juried shows like the Pecan Street Festival and things like that.
Nice.
So we'll put that link up too on the Fusing Friday page.
Cool.
So that people can reach out to her, because she does an amazing job. She's Crafting Exposure on Instagram, and just it's really amazing how well she's able to capture the glass without the glare, and getting the super vibrant colors.
All right. So we'll put the link up. When I did find, just so we have it, there is Kim's dulling spray. So you can actually get it on Amazon, but I saw also that it's up on Walmart, walmart.com and a couple other places.
Oh.
All right. Anyway, dulling spray by Krylon. All right, so where are
Neato.
we now?
All right, we are ready to talk about hosted services.
Yay! Hosted
So
service.
as we've been looking at some of these websites, I've been like kind of whisper talking, hey, that's Squarespace, or hey, that's Weebly. And these are forms of what we refer to as hosted services, where somebody, a company is offering to host your site and offer you templates and things out of the box that you can easily edit yourself without a lot of technical knowledge, and really just get started on your way. So if you don't know someone like me or don't want to hire someone like me, you can get started right away. Two of those that I'll be talking about tonight are Square stores, and what WordPress is, and using WordPress for that. So I'm going to share my screen and show you this is just the homepage for the Square stores. And I hope I'm sharing the right screen.
Yes.
Okay, good. Let me drag that over so we don't get Zoom inception. So one of the really awesome benefits to this is Square is also a payment processor. You've probably seen it, out shopping, people having the card swipers and everything, and it's all on tablets and things like that. So if you're already with Square to handle credit card payments, adding this online store is just super and a bonus for you because you're already halfway there. If you don't already, it's not a big deal. But they showcase some of these really nice looking themes, and they recently acquired Weebly, so they have some really nice themes to get you started. A lot of these are free, and in this case, this one says it's free. Oh, did not mean to click. Let's see. There are some plans. There we go. See pricing. So a lot of these have certain tiers. So a lot of these services offer you a free site, but they're limited in a certain way. If you want something else or more, you'd have to upgrade to one of their per month or per year plans. So Square has a free plan where you can sell unlimited products. You can have automatic inventory and syncing with your Square point of sale system.
Nice
You can
feature.
offer, yes, you can offer pickup delivery and also sell on Instagram, which is one of those big things that everybody's doing right now. Being able to sell your products right from Instagram. Somebody can click the image and it'll go right to your store. They can check out without ever leaving Instagram, just almost like they're visiting your site. Now, to get a little bit more like domain names and things like that, they have different plans that you can upgrade to. Not all of the services ask for a transaction fee. I think a lot of them will because they're handling the purchases for you. This 2.9% plus 30 cents per transaction is pretty much industry standard. We're talking like PayPal, Stripe, Square. I think Squarespace is probably the same way.
Yeah, Squarespace is actually using Stripe as the payment processor. So.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so this is pretty much industry standard. You're not going to see a lot of deviation from this. So basically, what it's saying is they're taking 2.9% of every sale plus 30 cents per transaction. So if somebody comes through your site and buys, 5 things, that's going to be 5 transactions that they're going to take 30 cents from you for. And it comes out of whatever the sale is. It doesn't come straight out of your pocket. Like you don't have to pay for that. So they're really nice as far as being able to get something started for free. They talk a little bit about showing you what the site setup will look like. This one seems pretty easy, and I'm sure it depends on the theme you pick. But it's really easy to kind of just drag and drop these things in. A lot of these services will offer you drag and drop. Square is one of them. And then they give some kind of different kinds of examples of how you can use this So for like retail or online food or online appointments. So it's super powerful right out the gate, and you get a really good idea of that. Next one is WordPress. Now, WordPress can be a little confusing because they have what they call hosted, which is wordpress.com. And this is what you're seeing on the screen right now is my personal dashboard because I have a wordpress.com account. So this is like their service where you can create a website on wordpress.com for free. There are several designs that they offer with their hosted edition that are a little more limited than what they call the self-hosted version. So the self-hosted version is where you download the WordPress software and install it on a host yourself. That gives you a little more options as far as themes and design and control over your site. But if you're getting started, WordPress.com is great because it's already written for you. It's easy to manage. They do offer a way of setting up a site where you can sell things through. Those sorts of things are an additional cost, but you can set up your site for free. Or then you can go to, let's say, personal, which allows you to have a domain, gives you some support options, gives you some themes. That's in addition to like the basic plan, which was what I'm on right now. Also gives you more storage, removes their ads,
That's
and
nice.
allows payments.
Yeah.
The next one up, which is $8 a month billed annually, it's more of a premium thing, gives you unlimited themes to choose from, some advanced customization, and some checkout, Google Analytics, things like that. So it gives you more options. They also have business and online store plans. So for something that we're talking about, we probably want to go for the e-commerce plan, and that's $45 a month, so that you can have, all the ways that you can sell and having unlimited products and things like that. Now, the install yourself on a host version is wordpress.org,
Oh no.
where you would get the software itself, and they have it right up here at the top, Get WordPress, where you can download the software and install it yourself. Now,
And
that's not,
I had a
go
question.
ahead.
So, and that's
Yeah.
not server sitting at your house. That is, you're going to install it where your, I guess, where your domain is parked. I mean, what, can you talk to that?
So, yeah, so there are things called hosts out there, and you've probably heard the names like GoDaddy and Bluehost. One here that's local in Texas that's really good that I recommend is WP Engine.
Mm.
Liquid Web, Rackspace, HostGator. I could go on. But these are companies that provide areas for you to host a website on. Now, a lot of these actually have WordPress, the software, available for you to install fairly easily on their sites. Like you choose, I want to install WordPress, and you click a button and it installs WordPress for you. You don't have to do it yourself. But if you're working with someone like me, you would want to get this software version of WordPress. Now, for a long time, WordPress was considered just blogging software, but it's become so much more in the last 5 years, where entire sites and e-commerce is actually happening on it instead of just being about a blog. But there's still the blog functionality there, which is really great. So you get the best of both worlds. So the easy way, WordPress.com, or to go through a host like GoDaddy, where they can set you up with WordPress right out the box. I'm trying
So
to
in
think
that
of,
case, if you go wordpress.org, you tell your host company which theme you want?
No, you're able to pick any theme that's out there. And there are tons. I'll take you to one site where you can get a theme, and some of them are free and some of them are paid. Now, WordPress.org comes with what they call default themes, but you can buy a theme from private people who put these together, and there are all sorts of designs.
Because that's what I have, is I have WordPress.org, and I bought a theme, and I worked with somebody and they put it together, and it's hosted by somebody else, and it's no longer being supported, but I still am working with it.
Right. Yeah, sometimes that happens too. But the WordPress environments are so easy. You know, somebody could come in and update something for you. But they're getting more and more standard,
Okay.
so that you're not gonna run into things suddenly not working. But they've just got a lot of beautiful sites. This one's just an example. I'm not saying go out and get this one. This is just an example. This is WordPress, and you wouldn't be able to tell that right out of the gate. It looks really nice. Like, it doesn't look like a WordPress site. What do you mean it's WordPress?
Yeah.
This is something close to like Microsoft or even something nice towards Apple. And by the way, a lot of Microsoft sites are actually run on WordPress. Not a lot of people know that. Yeah, a lot of parts of Microsoft.com are actually run on WordPress. Yeah, it's really cool. So yeah. Now WordPress.com has limited themes that you can choose from, that they allow on their system, that are prepackaged, not necessarily drag and drop so much, but they can be. Let me see if I can pull up an example of a default theme. WordPress 2020. Yeah, there we go. So WordPress.org software, the free software you can download or have your host provide to you, comes with what they call default themes. And they're numbered by the year. So the latest one is 2020, which is what we're looking at right now. There are blocks here that are easily editable. So if I was in edit mode for this, I could click in it, drag it around, move it around, have it placed in certain places just by dragging and dropping, without knowing how to work HTML. Super easy, really nice. A lot of sites are moving towards blocks now. I myself love a page builder called Beaver Builder, which is very visual and draggable and droppable, clickable, stylable, all right in the front end. And I can show you that a little bit later when we talk about, we are going to talk about later on in this talk about, having just out of the box design and actually hiring like a designer to make your site look really good. But WordPress has tons of options that you can use without necessarily hiring a developer. And a lot of these services are built the same way, which is why we're covering them.
Yay.
Cool.
All right. So,
all right.
Any questions? Anybody?
And in case you can't tell, Bobbie's a WordPress developer, so that's what she. I could rattle on.
I know. I love it. All right. So, do you want me to run over, I guess, Squarespace real quick? Do you want?
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
All right. So, on my part over here, I guess I'm going to talk about Squarespace, which is I guess Bobbie has a better word for it, but what was it? The host? What are you calling them, Bobbie?
The hosted sites.
Okay, so
hosted services.
Hosted services. We have been using Squarespace for probably about maybe 6 or 7 years. I used to code. So that one that I showed you earlier, that was the jewelry site that I said was dated, I coded from scratch. And it was kind of a pain in the butt, and it also wasn't mobile friendly. And so as soon as we found Squarespace, let me share that screen real quick, but I'll show you what it started to look like. So anyway, if I go to my website, which I haven't updated in a while, but it's still kind of hanging in there. Looks pretty decent for one that's probably about 5 years old. But you can see that I've just got basically those images at the beginning on the front page. I've got some different options up here at the top. So I have a blog. Bobbie was talking about how I guess on WordPress that it was built around blogging. So Squarespace actually has their own blog system that's within Squarespace. I also had, we used to do a lot of business under the name Glass Cats. So I basically went back in and added the photos from when we used to do glass jewelry at festivals and things like that. Pretty easy to do. There's also drop downs that I can create. There's a contact form. So something, oh, we forgot to show that on my friend's site. So on my friend's site, and we should point this out, I'm just going to put it up there. There it is. A friend of mine has a website that she did. This was after the one that you saw I had done. She's put her phone number on her website. And so we were talking about earlier about how that's not really a good idea. Bobbie can explain it better, but basically there are bots and things that run around on the internet and gather email addresses and phone numbers, and it can kind of open you up for different problems. But I would not recommend putting your phone number up on your site. Anyway, let me go back over.
Just don't do that.
Don't do it. So anyway, so if you want to have people contact you, you can set up a form. And what's really nice on Squarespace is that this can link out to something like a Google document, like a Google spreadsheet. And it's important, I think, to kind of start maintaining your own mailing list, because if you go through something like Etsy, if you want to sell on Etsy, you don't have control over your customers. If you can get your customers to come to your site and then you can get them to sign up, you have access to their information that you could email them, for example. So kind of getting that out of the hands of Amazon or Etsy or any of these other providers out there, it's a good idea. And then as you guys have seen, I have the Fusing Friday link here, which is actually a second blog. So I have my blog, which is more jewelry stuff, since that's what I'm normally doing. But Fusing Friday over here is actually a secondary blog. So you could blog about health issues on one, you could blog about glass on another. I probably wouldn't put them both on the same site though. You can hide stuff. But anyway, if you wanted to edit something in Squarespace, let's say that I go to my home page and it's as easy as hitting the escape key. When I hit the escape key, it then throws me into the editing mode behind the scenes. And so you can see here, let me move my little zoom window over. But some of the things that I really like about this is if I want to go look at my pages, I can just click on pages. And this is the breakdown of my site. So if I wanted to go, maybe edit the Glass Cats page, I can just click on it. And maybe I wanted to add some photos in here. I can edit the page content, scroll down, and then I can just edit the gallery. And at this point, let's see if it is showing. Yeah, checking it on my iPad over here. But you can see where I have the photos for my slideshow, and I can add more photos, and I can give them, like if there's a hover, for example, if I wanted to hover, I could go in. Oh, wrong one. Sorry about that. This is actually getting me into the photo editor. Remember we talked about cropping and things like that? There's actually a photo editor where I can come in and crop these to certain sizes. So I could do this, but then I don't want to save changes. So for example, if I wanted to crop 1:1, I could use this tool. You maybe even crop it a little bit closer like that. And then tell it, okay. As soon as you save though, you have cropped that photo forever. I'm just going to discard my changes. And then another cool thing on this is that you can go in and add a description. So I can give it a name, layered blue and purple, give it a description, and you could also add a link. So if you wanted to take this out to another site, you could do that as well. Let me discard the changes. If I wanted to add more information to this page though, you'll see these little things hovering. If I click on that, then I can add other things. Like I could add text. If I wanted to add more text, I could add links to products out on Amazon. You can add YouTube movies. There's all sorts of things that you can add. In fact, you can add a product that's for sale. So it's pretty cool, pretty easy to add stuff to a page. Let me just cancel out of that one. And I'll show you some other things that are kind of cool. You also have the ability to put pages in that are not linked to your page anywhere. So for example, you know, I've got some things hidden behind the scenes, like a cruise planning page that I created for my friends that I could password protect. Another thing that's kind of cool about it is, you heard Bobbie say something about Google Analytics. Well, this has analytics built into it where I can go in and take a look and see, where is my traffic coming from? How many people are coming to my website? Also, it'll tell me what devices they're coming in on, mobile, desktop, tablet, where they're coming from. Some are coming from Pinterest, Google, Facebook. And it'll give you those kinds of levels of reporting, but it's just kind of done for you. You don't have to leave Squarespace. You can just see it within Squarespace. Another interesting thing is you can find out what people are searching, which is another thing, I guess, that's coming from Google. But I can see what people are actually searching when they get to my website. People are searching cat a dare. I did some beading tutorials on my site, so most of my traffic is coming from bead tutorials. And then another thing that's important is your popular content. So I can go in here and look at a glance and see what people are actually looking for on my site. Look at that, Fusing Friday with Kim and Kat, 330, I guess, hits.
Woo.
Woohoo!
Those are me.
I know, Kim did that, so thank you, Kim. But it also has some things for sales by product. I have e-commerce that's built into it with the plan that I have. I guess lots of stuff in here. There's also a neat feature too, where on your smartphone, you can essentially type an email and send it to a specific address, and it will automatically enter that into your blog. So if you were blogging from somewhere, you're just doing it on your phone, hit send, and it will automatically create the page within your Squarespace site. So that's a pretty cool feature. I guess lots of things that you could go through and do. They do give you, I think, a 14-day free trial. So you can log in, they'll ask you some questions, and then they'll create a site for you. But there's a lot of templates. Another advantage is once you've created your site, you can also say, I just want to change my template and I want to go with a different template, and it'll let you do that as well. So you can change the look of your site pretty easily, but as you can see, I'm kind of lazy and I haven't done that. Let's see. Oh, pricing. I was going to show you guys what pricing looked like. Let me find that real quick. There it is. So as far as Squarespace, you can choose to pay annually, which is pretty much across the board with any of these hosting companies. But if you pay monthly, it jumps up a bit, or you can pay annually. So for example, the one I'm on is the business plan. It went from 26 to 18, but I'm paying monthly just because I don't want to pay all at once. But you can compare some of the features, but a lot of things are, for example, e-commerce is built in. How many products, are you going to use or sell? But anyway, there's a lot of different things. In integrated e-commerce, and then there's transaction fees. So that's kind of similar to what Bobbie was talking about as well. On Squarespace, if you're going to sell products, you set up with a different company called Stripe, which is a different payment processor. And so you can just easily link that to your site. You apply for an account, and then you're able to quickly start selling products. And at one point, it allowed you to put something called an Etsy mini store, just basically paste that into your Squarespace site, and people could look at your Etsy products and click and then be directed to Etsy to buy. But in this case, yeah.
Could you talk for just a minute about how Etsy does not let you know who your customers are?
Yeah, and I haven't sold with them for a while because they had changed some things around. But basically, when somebody checks out with Etsy and buys something from you, they have that information. Like, you're not given an email to follow up with that customer, as far as I know, unless they've changed something. So they kind of own your customer base. it's similar to a lot of different platforms. You know, like we sell on Amazon. Amazon owns those customers. And so if we ever said, hey, we're not going to sell on Amazon anymore, we have no access to our customers. So like anybody I've ever sold something to on Etsy, I have no way to get back in touch with them unless they contact me through Etsy. So if you can offload and get people onto your own site and get them to sign up for, you know, a newsletter, or, you know, there's different things, but like Constant Contact, for example, or MailChimp is another one. Once you have them signed up with something like that, you kind of own your customer list. And that's something of value.
I'm still on this. I gotta close out of this.
What's that?
Yeah.
So anyway, but that's you know, that's kind of how all these sites work. So getting in here and actually creating some sort of a form, like when people go to my website, let me show you if I log in over here on a different browser, and I'll reshare. Okay, there it is. So I'm in Chrome. Can you guys see the Chrome window? Yes. So if I go to Cat-A-Dare right now, let's see if it does this correctly. Nope. I had something that would pop up. So if it was somebody's first visit to my website, it would ask them if they'd like to join my newsletter.
Really?
Yeah, which is kind of a nice little feature. Let me see if I can do it through incognito. I don't know if I just took it down. No, I probably just took it down. Anyway, but there is a way that you can turn that on, where it hits them with a little splash screen that says, hey, welcome to my site. Would you like to join my newsletter? I send out, you know, coupons or discounts or, you know, information about glass. You can give them something to sign up for your newsletter, and then you can use that to market. We did use, I guess on Bobbie's site, we use MailChimp, but if you are on Squarespace, I think they just launched a program where you can actually do direct mailing through them. It's another feature, an additional cost, but it is integrated into the system. So I guess, any questions on that?
How often do you send out mailings? I'm curious.
On Bobbie's site, I don't send them on mine because mine's actually geared towards a jewelry course that I'm working on. But on Bobbie's, we might send something once a month.
Wow.
You know, 'cause I think people just don't want to be spammed. So we're real careful about oversending.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, occasionally if there's a new book that comes out or something, we'll send them just a, hey, you know, we're still here, new release, or maybe a list of maybe recommended books or movies or things, just things of personal interest. And keeping that up with the mailing list, but then also Facebook can be almost a full-time job though.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, oh, and then this was just another one. It shows, here's the gallery again, like that. And then on this one, I chose to show the description as you're flipping through here. It automatically shows this overlay. Kind of a nice feature. Anyway, so I think, any questions on Squarespace? I guess advantages are, if you're gonna do it yourself, this is probably one of the better known ones right now. I would say Wix, Weebly, and Squarespace. You know, if you're gonna try and do it yourself. The other consideration on that is would you rather be making glass and let somebody else do your website? That's another consideration. Or if you don't have it in your budget to pay someone to do it, this is going to require an investment of time, but you know, you can get something that's decent looking for a fairly low monthly cost. And then the other thing is my domain. I have several different domains, but my domains I purchased through GoDaddy. So I went out to GoDaddy and I bought a domain, which is catkramer.com. I have catadare.com. And then I linked that to Squarespace. Some of the plans within Squarespace will actually provide you with a domain name. But with that, I'll give one more tip before I pass it over to Kim. At one point, I started searching a domain name. So the domain name catkramer.com was taken by somebody else. that person didn't pay the renewal. So whenever you get a domain name, you purchase it, and it has maybe an annual renewal or every 2 years, but it's going to expire at some point. This person didn't renew it, so it went back into the registry of domain names. When I noticed that, I started searching it a couple times a day. Like, I want catkramer.com, I'm gonna do this. Because I searched it over and over and over again, it flagged it and somebody bought it and then tried to resell it for 2,400 bucks. So they took the domain name. It was, I guess they're called cyber squatters. But my advice and the takeaway from this is, when you decide what your domain name is, have your credit card in hand, look it up and buy it right then and there. Don't sit there and you know, don't search it and show your mom and, you know, show your husband and all that, because it will flag something in the system that as soon as it comes available, if it was not available, they may scoop it up and you may not be able to get it.
And it only takes one search.
And it only takes one search. And it I ended up suing the company on the grounds of, what was it, intellectual property. And I got the domain for about $9. But yeah, that's a whole nother story I won't go into. But, but anyway, watch out for cyber squatters. My advice would be, when you're ready to buy, keep it simple and buy it right when you find it, buy it. That's all I got to say about that.
All right, Kim, show us some Wix.
Okay. So I volunteered to learn about Wix so that we would have some varieties of things to talk about.
Yay.
Hold on.
I'm looking at that Mac in the background back there. That's a pretty Mac back there.
That's a really old one. Hold on. Wix.com.
And while Kim's looking that up, something I noticed a while back, Wix always had really nice transitions between pages. It was very elegant, and I thought that that was actually much nicer than Squarespace. But when you switched and went from one page to the next, it was just a very nice fade. It was very elegant.
Okay, share screen. Here we go. So I am not a Wix user, but I might be, because it's getting to be time for me to update my website. And Wix is probably much like Squarespace in a lot of ways. You have your different templates that you can choose from. You can integrate e-commerce, you can integrate a blog, you can tie it to MailChimp. It will interface with PayPal, Square, and Stripe. And so it really is kind of a general, all over, multi-useful workhorse kind of a site. I am going to pick my next platform, if I change platforms, based on the themes, because I am looking for the best theme that is going to show off my work, and everything else is almost incidental to me. There is a link that we're going to put up for a video guy that basically spends half an hour talking about the different web builders, and he compares them side by side and kind of gives you the bird's eye overview of the popular ones, and then some other things that I had never heard of before. But I am in love with the themes that these guys have. Let's see. Where did they go? There we go. Pages. Templates.
And I would think too, at this point, that almost all of their templates should be mobile friendly.
Oh, absolutely.
So at one point they only had certain ones that were, but I think now it's just so, is the right word, ubiquitous? Is that?
Yeah. I'm kind of surprised that they only have 500 themes or so to offer, where you can go to Theme Forest, the one that Bobbie was showing us, and they probably have 27,000.
I saw that.
Right? Theme Forest.
Sometimes more is just more.
You only need one.
Right?
But if what I have read is true, this is the most popular web builder, and it is home to 160 million sites.
Oh my God.
So I think they're doing something right.
Wow.
Like Square, they run between $13 and $40 a month. You can have the Wix.com for a smaller price than having your own domain. And that's kind of typical of these places. There is an Etsy app. There are internal applications that I've read are not true applications. They're more like little plugins, but one of them is Etsy. If you have an Etsy store, this site will talk to that. You cannot export your data. It's hard to leave. If you go from Wix somewhere else, you're basically starting from the ground up, and that can be a real deterrent.
That's a good point. That's actually the same with Squarespace. You'd have to rebuild your site.
Mm-hmm. And there's also a built-in logo maker, which makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up. But if that's what you need, there's a little tool here that will help you out.
Yay.
Or you know who another resource we have is that Elena Ashton.
Right.
She is our logo goddess too. So
Yeah.
You're very sweet. I need clients.
Yeah. You know what?
So thank you. Thank you.
After spending a few days looking at themes, looking at web builders, I sort of have sensory overload, and a lot of these begin to look alike.
right.
And there's probably not a bad design in the bunch. What matters is, how good are your pictures? If your pictures are not stellar, don't make them full screen. And so it's a matter of matching the look with what your material looks like, who you're talking to, how's it going to look on mobile, and how many images do you need? And then, the hard stuff, the back end stuff, like is there e-commerce? That does not interest me. It never has. So I don't even speak intelligently about that, but you can probably find 20 different themes that will fit your needs and your budget. And then it's just a matter of, what do you like, and is it going to do the work that you need it to?
Right. I can see a Kim Brill watercolor glass over there on that Achieving Growth one. That consultant on the left.
Yeah, I like that.
Oh yeah, watercolor.
Yeah, these are really nice. Like I'm, just coming from my world, like, yeah, these are gorgeous.
And
I could
Bob
probably rebuild some of them pretty easily, but yeah.
Right?
touched on this real quickly.
Do some poaching.
I'm sorry?
Gonna do some poaching.
No one has to know.
Inspired by.
Code, yay.
So if you get into a situation where you're putting your website together and it's not looking wonderful, call a designer, because just because you have a beautiful template doesn't mean that there aren't still design considerations to be made. And your choice of fonts and your juxtaposition of images, you can just tell when a designer has had their way with a website. And I've seen a lot of developers, and I'm not talking of Bobbie because she's not in this category. I've seen a lot of hardcore coders completely trash a beautiful template because they weren't watching the details, and those things didn't matter to them.
Yeah.
And in a few minutes, I'll show you the difference and I have a site where I have built it based off of what somebody had already had, and then I hired a designer to come in and make it look amazing, and I can show you the difference between the two. If Kim, if you're done, we can do that right now.
Please do.
All right.
Yay.
So I'm going to share my screen.
I hear screaming in the living room of my house.
Uh-oh.
Right?
Maybe it's just a movie.
I hope so.
So this is artusco.com. This is currently the pop-up shop in the Arboretum here in Austin, where some of my work actually is. And to help them out, I volunteered to move their site out of a Google site and into WordPress. And so this is basically a one-for-one of what they had previously, just moved over. It's nice. It's okay. Could it be better?
Yes.
Yeah. But for what it is, and based on the fact that this group of people, the pump project is run by uh, volunteers, this looks pretty decent, right?
Good.
I thought it could be better. So I'm going to go back to the homepage and show you, and then drag Photoshop over. And this is what you can get when you hire a designer.
Ooh.
Nice.
So my designer friend, who I paid, don't worry, it's not like that, paid him fairly for his time, and he's more expensive than me. But this is what he came up with for it. Having a professional designer completely can change your site if the theme just isn't quite there yet.
Right.
So, this page, it looks all right. It's almost there. This makes it there.
Yeah.
You did a beautiful job.
It is a gorgeous
he did.
job. Yeah.
Yes, he did. So, a lot of these services, they have really nice stuff out of the box. They have had professional designers go through and, take a look at these and get them ready to go. And, they're ready. But sometimes you're going to find that they're just not quite there, and you need a little bit of help. So I highly recommend that, if you're seeing it and it's just not there for you, that hiring a designer is a great value
Well worth
to
it.
get your site to looking, really super awesome. And for me, like, in working with a designer, I can get more than one look. Like, he's good enough to provide me with two looks to say, hey, this is what one way looks like. This could be another option for you. And there's even parts of this that I really like that I'm probably going to pull out and use in the other design. So when you work with somebody who's a professional, you get more options.
Yeah.
It opens up how well your website can work for you, and how good it's going to look. So even with these services, you might still find that you have this really awesome idea for something, and you need to hire someone like me to help you out with that because it's code. So things like Squarespace and Wix,
Yes.
excuse me, you can actually get in and have a developer go in and change things for you. But that also brings up what Kim was talking about, like a developer can go in and really mess it up too. So you want to hire somebody who's got a lot of experience in working in something like that and can get you what you need, and still like within in a design kind of way. Not trying to toot my own horn, but I was once a designer myself, so I have a little bit of that background. So when I'm making developer kind of decisions, I'm also making design decisions. So I can help with what we call UI, which is what the front of a website looks like. Like, this is UI, like the things that we were talking about, like details, like showing dimensions and how buttons work. That's also UI. And so someone like me can help you out with that.
Right.
I'm going to
You don't
stop
need
sharing
somebody
now.
like me working on it. I can do your back end all day long. You do not want me working on the front end of a website.
No.
So that's really, me showing you that is really like the value of hiring a designer when you're ready, because a lot of these services are great. They have, they're beautiful designs, but sometimes they're just not quite there for some people, and they want something a little bit different. And so hiring a designer, even just, a couple of hours, could be well worth your time. It saves you time.
It does.
It sounds expensive, but if you think about it, it's going to take less time for them to go in and give you something that you want, where you're going to be spending more time trying to, hack and slash your way through something or messing around with something in Photoshop, and you're going to it's the cost of your time compared to the cost of somebody else's time. So as a developer, speaking of, to hire someone like me. For me, like an entire site, the start is $750. That's about 10 hours of my time to get you into a website that starts from a really nice template, get you going, get your photo set up, and go from there. So probably like the Art Esco shop that I showed you, that definitely is not a site that is worth $750 because it's just thrown together really fast. But to have something, you know, really nice with a theme that you picked out and to help along the way in case you have any questions, it's always good to have a professional on your side that you can go to. And you know, you don't want to abuse your friends. so
Yeah.
so hire a developer, hire a designer if you can. Or even, hey, if you're going to go to a friend, just offer them something that's, you know, valuable. Make sure that it's worth their time, because then they're going to want to keep working with you. And you won't run into the thing where Kat ran into, where it's like, I don't have time anymore, I can't work on your site. And you don't want that to happen.
Well, and I was trying to convince her to actually switch over to Squarespace so she could do it herself. She was perfectly capable, but it was contentious. So
Yeah. I mean,
It was easier
seriously
to
though,
have
like,
you do it.
what's that?
It was easier to have you do it.
Yeah.
as bad as it sounds, like even I'm pretty lazy. Like when I have my own website that I've been trying to launch for 2 years. I don't even want to work on it. I want to send it to somebody else, and I'm a developer.
Yeah.
By the time I'm done working through my day, I'm like, yeah, I'm done with this. I'm not working on code anymore. Screw that.
Exactly. Yeah. I know the feeling. Oh, and I was gonna show an example. It's kind of unrelated, but I was gonna show the difference between getting a professional artist and doing it yourself. One sec. This is a bad one. Okay, pulling it up real quick. Oh, and I would also say seek out a designer who does that kind of work. Because another thing that we found too is that it's like, I've done graphic design in the past, but like we hire out book cover artists. And the difference of using somebody who actually knows what they're doing in that arena, like what you were saying about having a graphic artist who does web design and user interface and usability, that's really important. So let me see if I can show this one real quick. All right. These are two totally different books, but I'll show you the difference of using a professional. Let me find it. Okay, you guys ready for this one?
Let's have it.
This is the laugh one. Okay, here we go. This was a book cover that in the beginning, when we decided we couldn't afford to pay somebody to do it, we decided to come up with one on our own. I would not say this is my best work. It's pretty awful. So, Kim, stop laughing. No, right? Okay, so then this is what happens once we hire an actual graphic designer. So you end up getting kind of that richness and somebody who's experienced working in that particular type of graphic design.
It's all about the typography.
It is. So anyway, that was just an interesting example, I thought, from the kind of personal experience.
Yeah.
I can tell you, I was fired as Bobbie's graphic designer. I don't know why. He fired me as an editor too.
So really quickly to wrap up, I want to talk about other types of services, and we mentioned them briefly. It's things like Etsy, Amazon. They have an Amazon handmade, and another one that you'll see a lot of fused glass artists on, called Artful Home.
Yes.
And so Etsy, we all know it, we've all seen it, a lot of really neat stores, but there are some drawbacks. You don't choose anything design-wise. There is nothing for you to customize, really. You can choose a banner. You might be able to choose some colors. While they offer a good look at your customers and your visits and where people are coming from, this is also known as analytics. You, like Kat was saying, you don't get to keep your customers. You don't get to see, you don't get to converse with them outside of the platform. Now, they do have some good communication tools, things like wish lists or stock alerts, reviews, being able to send messages to someone who's ordered from you, but you can't send those people updates on your own. You have to go through Etsy.
Yeah.
So Artful Home, which I think Kat brought up.
Yep.
This is a really nice e-commerce site where independent artists have come to bring their items. Now, one thing to know about Artful Home is that it's juried. They choose which artists are shown, or they choose which artists can offer their items on the site. So you have to go through a decision process. They decide, based on the examples that you show them, like what would be a good fit for their platform. I don't know any other specifics about, like being able to get in contact with your customers, how that works exactly. Oh, yeah, there's Richard Parrish. He offers his beautiful tapestries on this site. Artful Home is a good place for high-end items, things, and as you can see here, the cost of things, range far more than you would probably find something on Etsy. Etsy, I think, like the mid-range is anywhere between $50 to $100 is like their maximum that I've seen for a lot of things, and you'll get undercut quickly. Artful Home is respectful. Everyone who also offers something is pretty on par with what you're offering. You're not going to see a lot of people trying to undercut you. In fact, I think they really discourage that among their artists. But again, it's juried, so they're working with professionals.
Can I give you a name to plug in?
Yeah, and I'm going to show you just one real quick. Hold on one sec. Another thing about Artful Home, though, and I found this the other day, I was on a site, a different website, CNN, and one of the things, the advantages of going through a site like Artful Home, if you can get in, they actually do advertising. So this was on CNN, and it basically bombarded me with Artful Home ads. I had gone to their site, but kind of interesting. Kim, what would
don't be? Yeah, go ahead, Kim.
Oh, I was going to give you a name to plug into the Artful Home search.
Oh, yeah. What you
got? Robert.
Okay, on one side.
Weiner, W-E-I-N-E-R.
Yes.
Ooh.
Oh.
Y'all love this stuff.
So pretty.
Ooh.
And Amazon also offers a place called Amazon Handmade. Very much a bit like Etsy. But it's for those of us who make things.
Yeah.
It's also a little bit juried. But the thing you got to remember with Amazon, and it's somewhere actually in their licensing agreement before you actually sell with them.
Deal with it
through. It's actually in their through Amazon Handmade. They can duplicate your products.
Yeah. Yeah.
You basically give them a licensing right to duplicate your products and for them to sell them instead of you selling them.
Wow.
So I would steer clear of Amazon Handmade.
Actually, another question too, Bobbie, for you is if you're up on Amazon Handmade, do they prevent you from selling on other sites? That's a typical Amazon thing to do.
I don't think so.
Okay. But something to pay attention to.
Yeah, it's definitely something to watch for. I didn't do, like, once I saw the whole thing about being allowed to duplicate my items and for them to sell them, I pulled the plug right there. I stopped reading. I was like, nope, nope. Not doing that.
I'm glad you said
Um,
that. I've never heard that before, and that's good to know. But it makes
yeah.
perfect sense.
Artful Home will not do that. Etsy will not do that. But the problem that you run into Etsy with is Chinese duplication.
Oh God, yes.
So a lot of companies, Chinese companies, look through Etsy to find something popular. They will duplicate it and then turn around and sell it. So you know,
They've become so
be
much less discerning, I think, in what they're
oh
bringing
yeah.
on to.
And that's the other thing with Etsy too. It started off being handmade only, like artisan only, maker only. Then they opened it up to the market. So now you've got mass produced items mingled in.
Yeah.
And of course, that drives down the value for everyone. So as you can see, like some things here that it makes me sad to see being offered for so little.
Yeah.
Because they're, you know, that brings down how much everyone else can charge for quality work.
Yeah. Anyway.
So basically the best advice is to know the marketplace that you're getting into. Scope it out, see the prices, check out comparable work, understand what your price point is, what you feel your price point is, and does this platform match your price point?
What weird prices? $38.23.
It's international. If you see weird numbers like that, it's usually being shipped in from somewhere else.
Or they're doing that because United Kingdom. Another reason why you're going to see weird prices is that Etsy forces you to charge certain amounts for shipping.
Yeah, that was a big brouhaha lately.
Yeah. Etsy does some things that lots of people don't like.
Yeah.
There's even something on here where if one of your products or your shop gets super popular, they will start advertising for you in Google Ads and charge you. But you don't get a say. You don't get to opt out of that. They just do it, and then and then you're forced to pay for it.
Wow. And you know, another thing though, I guess as far as marketing, I have noticed that they are advertising, you know, on big channels too. So they are taking, I guess, some of that income and using it for marketing. One thing I noticed though, I was tracking the fees that I was being charged by Etsy. The fees were outrageous. You know, it wasn't just the credit card processing fee, but you know, I can't look at it right now, but it would break it down into all the different fee categories, and I was paying a lot in fees. So if you can get people out to your own website and market it that way and get them off of some of these other ones, then you'll end up having more in your pocket. So, just a thought.
I think it's also hard to get found on Etsy.
It is. Yeah.
So much.
Yeah, look, there's 250 pages or more of fused glass. So.
Yeah, it's easy to get lost in Etsy unless you become like, you get a ton of sales and you start becoming a little more featured in their algorithms. It's really sketchy and super hard to start out. Like I've seen so many YouTube videos on like how to get noticed by the Etsy algorithm, how to get your site, you know, really, how to get your Etsy store really going. I'm like, it shouldn't be so complicated.
Yeah. Yeah. And another thing too, I'll sometimes use Etsy to look at examples of photographs. Just even for photography ideas, just to see what I like. But also take a look at Artful Home for some of those ideas as well. Ooh, a mini pastel rainbow. I like that.
Nice little piece.
Oh, and I noticed too, when I click on these, it says Apple Pay, which is really dangerous because it can read my fingerprint on my computer. And all of a sudden I've bought something without, it's just amazingly easy and scary.
Oh, wow.
But,
that's bad. Yeah, for mine it says PayPal because it knows that I use PayPal to check out with.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Anyway, so that was just some examples, just some things to, think about, different ways to sell.
So
Oh,
does anybody have any other questions?
So you mentioned earlier about selling on Instagram. What's that about?
Yes.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. And you can, it's kind of the same way for Facebook too, where you can sell on it. So depending on who you're with, these services are allowed to connect through Instagram to sell from your feed. So let's say you post an item on your website that you are going to sell. Their software knows to talk to Instagram, and you can place a post on Instagram. And I'm trying to remember exactly the term that they're calling it, but it's purchasable directly from your feed. So like you're posting an image of this product on Instagram. Oh, thank you.
Aim to please.
So you can, it'll tag it for you, and it'll also show you that little view products thing down below. If you click on the part that's tagged, you literally can check out right then and there inside of Instagram and buy that item. You don't go to a website, you don't have to worry about anything. It uses whatever processing you use on your site. So it happens a bit behind the scenes.
Yeah. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, you don't have to do any extra work.
That's crazy. This is
That's a little too instantaneous.
Impulse buys.
And then,
right?
Yeah.
impulse. Yeah, you're going for those impulse buys. And then that view products bit, that goes to that shows in Instagram like your whole cart. So whatever's, not your cart, in your shop. So whatever's on your shop page on some of these websites, how they're built, will get shown, and somebody can scroll through all of the products and check out.
I had no idea.
I had no idea
Yeah.
either. This is why we have Bobbie here to educate us.
Some systems, like the WordPress version of e-commerce, which is called WooCommerce, allows you to have what's called buyable pins on Pinterest. So it interfaces with that service to buy directly from a Pinterest pin that can be shared within Pinterest. And it works basically the same way that Instagram purchasing does. They don't leave the site, they buy it right then and there. It gets processed through, your payment processor that you normally would, and you're done.
Wow.
So it allows you to, go ahead, Kat, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, look at it, it's using Stripe, Square, all the big guys, PayPal.
Oh yeah, those are all the ones that you can sign up for. Authorize.net comes with an extra charge, but that's from Authorize.net. That's not really from WooCommerce.
Okay.
I myself have the option, or will have the option on my site for Stripe and PayPal.
Interesting. Very cool.
This one's not so much out of the box, but they're heading that direction. As you can see, they're heading towards having a store that you can buy from them.
And I guess one other question about that one, Bobbie, is some of these that are the super, super heavy duty commerce sites though, one thing I know when we did jewelry, because the jewelry was so individual, we were doing kind of slabs and every piece was different. We had started out with big commerce, but the problem was that we needed repeatable designs. So like if you had a set of coasters that you could, make 5 sets of that were identical, one of the bigger kind of commerce sites worked, but for things that were like unique and one of a kind, this kind of site, or not this one, but big commerce didn't work.
Yeah.
A lot harder to maintain.
This one that we're looking at, WooCommerce, since it's built on top of WordPress, it works very much like WordPress. So every product can be everything can be a separate product. You can group them together. You can what's called variations, where you can, maybe it's like one design, but it comes in different colors.
Oh, like the weaving one that you had.
Mm-hmm. Or like in your case, it could have been all these things cut from a slab that looked a certain way.
Yeah.
But it was all different shapes, so you could have different variations of that. You can have sizes, just a bunch of different options. So it depends on what your products are.
Yeah. And ours were pretty individual, so we never had any two alike. you know.
Right.
But if I did say something like that, it's repeatable and I could make
Mhm.
10 of them, then like a heavy duty commerce site one might have been appropriate.
Be
Yeah.
nice to
Other
only
than that,
photograph one item instead of 10 items.
yeah.
Yeah. And you know, the other cool thing about WooCommerce is that it can be really simple, or you can have inventory and it can track that for you. So every time you make a sale and you know, somebody checks out, your inventory goes down by 1 or however many they bought, and it'll let you know, hey, you're getting low on this one thing, or it doesn't track it at all.
Yeah.
So like if you have a lot of one-off things, you don't have to worry about that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Very cool.
but yeah.
So, wow, we got lots of
Uh,
work to do.
yeah. Any other questions?
I'd be interested in like, what's the big trend right now in art websites? White backgrounds, a big banner, any ideas?
I would definitely say like the white backgrounds seem to be a huge trend. Like, or you know, going even into gray. Like if you have something white and transparent, like you're gonna have to show that somehow.
Right.
Where you go into gray, but not anything like to do with black. You know, keeping
Yeah.
away from the darkness, going with something light. You know, subtle colors, I think, is on the trend right now too.
Okay.
Like I showed you that one design from the designer. The colors were vibrant, but he used them in a subtle way. So you didn't just get these big blocks of color hanging out on your page everywhere. They were subtle in areas.
So if you're
Trying to,
photographing your art, do you think everything should be on the same color background?
You know
yes.
what I noticed about the fiber artist, Kirsten, that Bobbie,
There was
They were
differentiation.
different.
they were different, but they were within a limited palette.
Yeah, they were very tonal, weren't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll share that with you again. So
Oh,
she
yeah.
pulled out, like she almost went into this image and pulled out the color here to use in other places on her site.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not identical, but this all hangs together beautifully.
Yeah.
It does, and it's all very natural. So it's those very natural
Oh,
weathered colors.
photography tip. Do not use flash photography with, like if you say, I'm going to use my smartphone and take a picture of my stuff, you can actually take a fairly decent picture with your smartphone in shade. So like if you're, you know, go out on your back porch, maybe, you know, rig up something so it doesn't look bad, maybe some white paper, natural light. But if you try and use the flash on your phone, you get harsh shadows and it doesn't look good. There's methods to diffuse it, but if you don't have any better setup, you can actually take it like on a covered patio or something. We've done that in the past as well.
So
Or
another,
near a window.
yeah,
Ooh.
another little piece of software that I recommend if you're doing like cell phone photography
Mm-hmm.
to help you process your images is something called Lightroom, and it's from Adobe. There's a free trial, or a lot of times if you like buy a printer, you get like Lightroom Light.
Yeah.
This will take your photos and allow you to walk through them and really change how they look. And I'll let you guys watch this little animation of how they're changing how this image looks just by playing around with some buttons and moving some curves around and clicking on
There's good
things.
tutorials too up on YouTube for these as well.
Mhm.
I've got a link for Photoshop tutorials in our list.
Yeah.
Oh, and another one, and I'll put the link up as well. There's an app, one app that we found that we were using for jewelry was called LightX. And LightX was basically like a mini photo studio on your phone or iPad. Yeah, LightX Express is what it was.
Hey, Bobbie, can you talk about the difference between Lightroom and Photoshop?
So Lightroom just helps you process your images. It where Photoshop is good for actually like hardcore editing. Like say you've got a picture of a jewelry item and you don't like your background anymore, take it into Photoshop and crop the background out. Whereas Lightroom is really powerful to adjust coloring, as you can see on the screen, cropping, just different kinds of things that you could maybe get with a more professional camera that you're not going to necessarily get with your cell phone, like adjusting how dark the blacks get, how high the highlights are, how long your exposure time is. So it gives you the ability to really have more control over how your photos look, where Photoshop is more for editing stuff in your photos. So let's say there's a stray hair in your bowl that you didn't mean to be there. Taking it into Photoshop, you can remove the hair. You can't do that with Lightroom.
Interesting. Oh, oops.
What resolution does do iPhones have? Because
It's pretty high. Hold on. I'll take a screenshot.
It depends on whether or not you're in HDR or not. And you can actually set it to go into HDR.
Huh?
It's the high dynamic. It basically, so HDR is high dynamic is it resolution?
Range.
Yeah.
Range. High dynamic range. But imagine if you're taking a picture in a room and then you have a bright window behind you. So you've got like really bright and then you've got really dark. The HDR will actually kind of try and find a middle ground, and it will make what's outside the window actually viewable. It'll show up, and it'll adjust the lighting kind of the person in front of it. Let me see if I can get this real quick.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool things that you can do with your iPhone.
Yeah.
Can you give a lesson on that someday?
We could do that.
That's a good idea.
There's actually a lot of really good YouTubes talking about photography with your iPhone.
Oh, and it's not open now, but apparently you can take free classes at the Apple Store. If you do have an iPhone, when they're open, they have walking tours where you go walk around the mall, and it's a photography class. And it's taught, as if it's a regular photography class. You're just using your smartphone.
Let's go.
I know, right?
Yeah, that sounds
We
like
have to
fun.
wait till the pandemic.
Yeah.
Okay, I just took a screenshot. Oh, I don't want a screenshot. Hold on, wrong one. And we're at 9 o'clock.
We are.
You see, we filled 2 hours. Oh my God.
I think that's why so many people started to drop.
All right, you're like, oh, I gotta go. Okay, I'm checking this out real quick. But I know the resolution on my iPhone is pretty high.
I'm going to share my screen really fast because I want to show another example of glass photography done really well.
Nice.
This is an artist that is on DeviantArt. Vericone, I've been following for years, makes these beautiful glass pendants and necklaces, but has done just an amazing job of capturing how beautiful the glass is and the depth, which is something that's really difficult to do.
Yeah.
Especially on a smaller scale.
Yeah.
Wow.
Go away.
Kirsten, I have an answer for you. You asked about the size of the image.
Yeah.
Okay, so this was a photo I snapped at the grocery store today, because that's what we do when we're bored with the pandemic. And so I just took this picture right here, nothing fancy. I don't think, oh, you can see it. When I go to the size, it's about 3,000 by 4,000 pixels, which is that's big.
But see, this is where I get confused, because down in resolution, it says 72.
Yeah. And if you were to go in,
you can change that.
You can change that.
Well, but what happens, here's your rule of thumb though, if you were using a 300 dot per inch printer, you would just, go to your calculator. And so let's say 4,000 divided by 300, you could print that at about 13 inches wide.
Okay.
So 4,000. So it would be probably about maybe an 11 by 13 image.
And in your phone settings as well, when you're taking pictures, there are settings to adjust what DPI you're taking your photos in.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where it's at on the iPhone, but I know that Androids have that ability to change.
Yeah. And they have it. It's also on an iPhone. It's under the camera.
Yeah.
Also, let me see if I can find it real quick. Anyway, but yeah, you can even change like the resolution of your videos and stuff that you take. Let me see if this is it.
Is it under settings or is it?
It is under settings, but it's not showing me. No.
There it is, camera. It's way down underneath music.
It's only showing me video though, as far as the size.
Oh. Oh, I have Smart HDR turned on, and that's where you get the bigger images.
Yeah.
I have auto HDR. Is that the same thing?
Pretty much.
And I've got auto HDR on as well, but I think that when I think on the iPhone has more to do with the light, the differences in the light.
So if you click over into Formats Cat, it's underneath Record Stereo Sound. You can choose between high efficiency and most compatible. Most compatible will use JPEG at 60 frames per second, 1080p, and I think that will translate into the stills as well.
Okay.
Because if you don't use that and you use that whatever it was,
HDR.
then a lot of the HEIF.
Oh yeah.
Then there are certain places that don't upload those because they're not JPEGs. I can't remember what it was, but I had trouble with that, so I had to change it to JPEG.
Yeah. And I think the default these days, it may even be PNG coming off the iPhone, because I know in a lot of cases that's what I'm getting when I send them over, because I work between the different devices a lot. But anyway, all right. So let's see. We got anything else? Bobbie, did we get everything?
Yeah, we got everything for this round.
Kim, did you see anything we missed? Oh, I forgot. I'm still showing the HEB picture. How cool is that?
Hey, can we look at the website I put on the, I added to the thing?
Let me bring it up real quick. Facebook. Let's see. Okay, let me share real quick. There it is. I always have my little bar for Zoom is in the way. Like, go away. Okay, there. Oh, which is amazing. This, just even their preview picture is gorgeous. Oh. Ah. So what do you think of this one, Kirsten? Do you like this one?
I love it.
I do too. That depth of field right there, where that's
I love the little dewdrops on it.
Yeah.
I love how there's the shadows in it. You know, I had been pretty austere about like all the backgrounds had to be the same, but this shows me that they don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's definitely within a color story.
I like it.
I like the font she's used.
Let's see
what is it, Bonnie or Bobbie?
Oh,
let me look it up.
I love how this collage all kind of meshes together.
Yes.
And I would imagine the theme does that, but maybe she has to tweak some of her photo images in order to do that, or maybe if it is a theme, maybe it's smart enough to do it for her.
Right.
And we have a WordPress site.
I think I saw her work at Emerge.
Really?
I think so.
And if you want to know what theme she's using, it's called Patricia.
Patricia?
Yes.
That's cool. No, it's a beautiful site.
Yeah, I just think this one, It could keep me on a long plane ride. It could keep me happy for
Right?
And
And
this
I-
theme is available at Theme Forest for $41. It's called Patricia Minimal Portfolio WordPress Theme.
And you can see what it does when it shrinks down to mobile size.
So good.
Yeah, so it's translating nicely to a mobile phone. Very nice. I love the wide photos. I'm kind of partial design-wise these days to these wide images that take up the whole screen.
me too.
That for me, I just think that's my new favorite design. I'd like to change mine to that, but I haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah, big hero images is what we call it in the industry. And,
What is it?
And that's one of hero images.
Hero.
Big hero images. It's something from print that made its way over into the web.
Yeah.
What some of us don't like, and what I'm seeing less of, thankfully, are the really big giant sliders up at the top. Like for hers, it does change,
Yeah.
but it's not like this slidey, ultra animated, over the top kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, the theme has page transitions.
Oh, does it?
It
What does that
watch.
mean?
Oh, that's pretty. And I don't know if this one will come across. This is not the same one, or it's not an art one. But I was showing Kim and Jenny this one the other day. It has those videos, and of course, it doesn't translate through Zoom, but that's full motion video.
Oh,
But on a slow network connection, sometimes those don't come across.
Yeah, those eat up data, so we try to keep people from doing it.
Yeah. Anyway, but I like that one. I think that this one's beautiful, Kirsten.
Yeah. There's a lot of things to love about that one.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, and we can even shop online. Yay! I just need an
Coming
OC
soon.
now, right? Oh, did it say coming soon? Oh, it
Yeah.
does. Gotcha. Anyway, yeah, that's a beautiful one. All right.
Cool.
So, I think that might be it then.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for hosting me as your guest host tonight.
Thank you so
Had
much,
a lot of fun.
Bobbie, for sharing your expertise and
Oh, thank you.
I
knowledge.
feel smarter. I feel like I learned something.
No kidding.
I feel like I hogged the meeting. I apologize.
Can I put in a little plug?
Yes.
Of course.
Our art guild is having a presentation on Sunday at 2:00.
Okay.
And the lady does the most magnificent doors and windows and floors and stained glass and fused glass and everything. And it's free if you're interested.
Yeah. Well, here I'll share my browser. Is there
The National
what is it?
National Capital Art Glass Guild. And they have a Facebook page. You can just go on there. Yeah.
Is it capital OL?
Yes.
Art Guild?
Yeah, because it's in Washington. Seeing Wiener's pictures made me think of it.
Let's
Because
see.
he's in Washington.
National Capital Art Guild.
Right. I'm sorry. It's CAL. I'm looking at it wrong. Okay, here you go. That one.
Is it this guy right there?
Well, the one down is Facebook.
Okay.
That's our website. Yeah.
Ooh. Oh, very cool. Now, what is the event? You said that there's an event coming up?
It's our monthly meeting, and Sharon Rowland is presenting. If you go, doesn't look like our page. We can't see. Try scrolling down further and see if
There's a different one.
Yeah, I'm looking for the right.
The right one?
Yeah,
Is it Washington Glass?
Yeah.
do this one.
Mhm.
Because that's our logo. But she does a lot of celestial kind of things. She has a floor in her house that's probably 10 feet wide, and it's lit from underneath.
Ooh.
It's just amazing.
Holy smokes.
Is this it?
No, that's the Washington Glass School.
Ah. Capital art.
Located here also, but no.
No.
See down there, the NCAGG.
Let's see.
Yeah. Let me see what this is. Here, let's see if I can find it here.
Okay. Oh, and it's set up, I think you can share your screen.
Huh?
It's set up so you can share your screen if you find it.
I was doing it on my phone.
Ah.
Uh-oh,
there's the National Capital Puppetry Guild.
that sounds like fun too, doesn't it?
I think we all need that right about now.
Really?
Oh.
No, it's just National Capital
Wait, hold
Art
on.
Glass
There's
Guild.
7 of us. Let's see.
Is it .org?
Not on Facebook, it's not, but yeah, on the other one it is. Try putting in NCAGG. Are you on Facebook?
No.
No.
It's like,
You want to go to Facebook and try it from there. That's probably easier.
NCAGG.
Yep.
Which is up with this. Oh, here it is.
Yes.
That looks like the same page.
How about, right.
Is that it?
Well,
Is that the
that's our, it's our logo and stuff, but why are you, I'm not finding, okay.
Let me go back.
You see, that's a picture of the floor in her living room.
Oh, this right here? No.
Oh, look at that picture she's showing. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Oh.
Yeah, let me get it so the light's not glaring on it so much, but it's just amazing. And then her door also has
What's her name again?
Sharon Rowland.
Sharon Rowland.
Yeah, I don't know what.
Is that her name?
Yeah, no, W, R-O-W. L-A-N-D.
Art and Glass?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, she and her husband have been doing this for years. They've got a huge studio out in the middle of nowhere in
Really?
Maryland. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But anyway, so how can I get this to you?
Put it on the Facebook page.
I'll do that. Maybe I can share it over to there
That would be good.
and make that happen.
Trying to see. Okay, we've got Artful Home.
Share to a group.
In Facebook?
Yeah, to you.
Is it time to eat?
Yeah.
I'm starving.
Yeah.
I am too.
He hasn't eaten in a couple of hours.
I know. I had.
All right, I will figure out how to do this and I'll put it up on the
Yeah, put it up on the Facebook group, and then we'll go from there. So
And what's your Facebook group? I had trouble finding this tonight.
Using Friday.
Okay.
So if you just go to Facebook and then
Facebook and yeah. Okay.
yeah.
I will figure it out. Thanks,
All right.
guys. This was wonderful. I really learned a lot.
Thank you, Linda. Glad you could make it.
Glad you could make it.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Have a safe weekend,
Thank
everybody.
you, Bobbie. Appreciate it so much.
Mhm.
Hey, no worries.
We'll talk
Thank you,
soon.
Bobbie.
Take care.